This is the second in a two-part video on states of matter and then changes of state. And so in this picture we have three things. We have a solid down here in which the particles are all locked in place. They're very close together and they're just jiggling a little bit right and left and up and down and backward and forward, but they don't have very much energy. Up here we have liquids. Now these particles are still fairly close together, but they're free to move around and they can slip and slide past each other. These liquid particles have more energy. And finally, we have gas particles up here. These gas particles are very far apart from each other. This picture doesn't really do it justice. They're moving very, very fast. And so in this video, we want to talk about how you can turn solids into liquids and gases and vice versa. If you want to make a solid into a liquid, you have to add energy. Adding that energy does two things. The first is that it breaks. The added energy breaks all of the bonds that are holding these solid particles in place. That allows the particles to move past each other in liquids. So the first thing the energy does is it breaks apart the bonds that hold each of these particles in place. The second thing it does is it allows the particles to move faster. When you go from a liquid to a gas, you also have to add energy. That energy does two things. It speeds up the particles, so the particles in gases are going much, much faster than the particles in liquids. It also moves the particles very far apart. It requires energy to push all of those particles apart. And so the energy in going from liquid to gas has to be used to speed the gas particles up and to push them further away. The final thing we need to do is use some new words here. If you go from solid to liquid, that's obviously called melting. If you go from liquid to gas, that is obviously called evaporation. This isn't as common, but if you were to go from a solid directly to a gas, that's called sublimation. Dry ice does that. Going from gas to liquid is called condensation. This is giving up energy in the same way that going from liquid to gas required you to add energy. Going from gas to liquid releases that energy. That's called condensation. Going from liquid to solid is obviously freezing, and that is also going to release energy. This is also not very common, but you can go from a gas to a solid, and that is called sublimation and releases a lot of energy.